Well, it's quite common for those on the left to spend the majority of their time discussing climate change. Well, this week, the Biden administration is putting $20 billion towards new grants to fund tens of thousands of clean energy and transportation projects in low-income communities across the U.S. But America is not alone, because this radical green agenda is affecting our friends to the north, too, in Canada. Joining me now is the host of the Charbonne Report, Michael Charbonne. Michael, in similar fashion to President Biden's Green Deal, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is really pressing hard on Canadians through its carbon tax. Yes, the carbon tax. It's creating economic hardships for Canadians where it raises gas, diesel, heating oil, and natural gas. It's very similar to what we're seeing under Biden. Michael, how did this come about, and what's the pushback here from Canadians on this carbon tax?
John, 69% of Canadians don't like the carbon tax. Do you think? It's like increased gas by 17 cents, 21 cents for diesel, 15 cents for natural gas. So consider you got to pay a carbon tax to pick up your seeds. You got to pay a carbon tax to harvest your crop. You got to pay a carbon tax to take your crop to market. And you got to pay a carbon tax to go to the market to pick up your produce. So you're getting hit multiple ways. This was one of the reasons why Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservatives in Canada, had to axe the tax to try and topple the Trudeau government. And there was a vote of non-confidence. But with true fashion in Canadian politics, the NDP has this coalition with the Liberal minority government, and it didn't pass. Yeah. So the government was not fallen, as one would say in Canada. But what really is a slap in the face to Canadians, not only is that they're having problems paying their bills and mortgage rates are going up, is that in Parliament they passed a bill to move the mandatory date for the election in Canada so that now any of the politicians who were elected in the 2019 election in Canada, where many of the Liberals and NDPs are probably going to lose their seats in the next election, have a gold-plated pension for life, indexed to inflation. And Trudeau got a pay raise. Trudeau is now getting paid $406,000 a year, compared to Joe Biden at $552,000. I don't know if we're getting a deal or somebody's getting ripped off, but the guy who's running Cameroon, 30 million people, John, $620,000 a year. But people are just fed up.
Let me get this right. So he wants to raise carbon tax all these middle of Canadian homes that are going to foot the bill on it, and then all of the politicians take a raise.
Oh, yeah. The regular MPs got a raise, too. I think they're second in the world for the most paid politicians. You would think in a situation like this, when Canada is still in somewhat of a recovery stage from the COVID experience, and with inflation rates still hovering just over 3%, but it's mortgage rates that have gone up and people are paying so much money, the last thing you would do is vote yourself a raise. I mean, you would think. But no, not so good.
Incredible.
John.
Yeah.
John, I saw you were talking about a set of these, buddy. You got to use these if you're going to watch. You can't use sunglasses. You got to tell me in New York you can't get a pair of these glasses.
I'm sure I'll pick them up some bodega or somewhere. Moving on, though, I want to ask you about this because this made headlines last week. We see what's happening at the southern border, but now this is impacting Canada, too. It's taking on illegals, but the Prime Minister there is saying, hey, we got to cut this off. We're getting too many. Is that true?
Sure, all our resources are being plated out, if you would say. There's not enough healthcare, infrastructure, homes, and rental stuff. I mean, there are some international students now that are lining up at homeless shelters. Basically, temporary immigration in Canada represents 7.5% of our population. So it's a self-inflicted shot in the foot. Basically the same situation that you have in the States with the open borders. And people are saying, well, they're just going to get Liberal and Democrat voters. It's estimated, John, that 800,000 non-permanent residents are in Canada. And in 2023, the Canadian government spent $750 million. That's $750 million on accommodations like hotels and shelters and medical, dental, and welfare. But the most alarming thing is that in the U.S. in 2023, Customs and Border Protection said that over 500 people on the international terrorist list was apprehended in the northern border. So this has to be taken care of.
Real quickly, we're running out of time here, but we're going to watch the solar eclipse. You're going to get a good view of it?
Absolutely. Here in Toronto, we're right in the path of it. I think the prime time is about 3:18. But you got to have a set of these glasses, John. Look, I look like Mad Max.
I only asked it because I wanted you to put the glasses back on.
You want to put the glasses on again.
You look great. I appreciate it. You're always informative. I love how you bring in all this Canadian news and inform all the Americans down here what's going on.
Thank you, John.
And the hypocrisy up there continues. Michael Chabon, you're a good man. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. That's going to do it here for Sunday Report. Thank you so much for watching us. Stay with us. Sunday Agenda starts right now with Lydia Serrani.